check out joelbrazil.com. And stay tuned for Greenleaf Season 2.
We're so grateful to have the cast here to talk about it. They've been in Atlanta filming for several weeks, so you'll probably see them out and about. I think Melissa said she saw one of the cast members at the grocery store. Great. So the time for our Q&A is upon us. I'm very excited. And I'm going to bring out the cast, and as well as writers and creator, executive producer. First up, we have Mr. Tye White. Woo! Then next we have the lovely Deborah Joy Winans. Eternal beauty, Miss Lynn Whitfield. Next we have series writer Erica Anderson. We also have Mr. Craig Wright, executive producer and creator of Merle Dandridge, lead for Greenleaf. Mr. GregAlan Williams. We have Pete David. And writers we have Hawthorne. All right, Cass, welcome. So we just saw a sneak peek of Greenleaf Season 2, and I just wanted to throw out the first question. So, as we said, Greenleaf had an amazing first season, #1 debut on OWN, 3 million viewers, lots of energy, positive reviews from the press and the fans. Now you're here filming Season 2. What is it like coming in off that wave? How different is it on set now, knowing, everybody's got their rhythm together and fans have certain expectations? What has that been like on set? Anybody can take this.
It's like having your birthday right after Christmas. And it's just far enough away that you're going to get that second present. So it's been a wonderful anticipation, and the juice was worth the squeeze as far as waiting for I'm sitting next to Greg, but no.
I feel that you're only as good as your next season. So for me, it's more thought, going deeper. I think all of us, going deeper, finding more to extract from the character, and hoping, knowing with Erica and Craig that the second season will be better than the first. We want to keep pleasing you, titillating you, engaging you more. And I think that's what we're doing. So, once you come out the box and everybody says, yay, it's so great, then I get nervous, and my artist ego gets in, and it's like, okay, it's got to be even better this season, So that's where I am about that.
I found a really great new sense of purpose when the show came out and perfect strangers started coming up to me and telling me the most intimate secrets of their life. And I mean, as if I was their pastor, but they would tell me secrets that they just don't express to people. And it put into focus just how powerful the messages that we're putting out there are, and how important this particular kind of storytelling is. So, and to have all of those nerves from the first season settled a little so that we can just really be swagger with them a little this year.
So, what can we expect from you two that we didn't see last season?
Oh, well, we can't tell you much.
Yes. I won't spoil it, but I will tell you that what you will see is again, the reality, we've been married for 40 years. And the reality is, even after 40 years, there are things that you didn't know about each other. There are things that you discover. And then you have to discover within yourself, is that something that I want to deal with? Or is that something I can deal with? And we'll get to see what that's like.
Yeah. Also, what you can expect is to see a kind of slow unraveling of the, frayed around the edges. These two characters who walk with such dignity and have such control over, sometimes I think what they think of as their kingdom, but which is their church, but you're going to see weakness, a kind of weakness and frailty and things come into their existence.
And you'll also get to have a relationship with, I mean, every one of us, every human being in life has a public persona.
Yes.
That gets to be, it has to, it gets maintained in your business, when you walk outside of your dwelling. And that is a big difference between once that door is closed and what goes on behind that closed door.
Right.
So how hard is it to be turning into your husband and your brother?
Well, I think, family loyalties, it happens all the time, How do I deal with my husband? That's one relationship. How do I deal with my brother? That's another relationship. How do I deal with my sons? How I deal with Grace is different than how I deal with my baby girl. It's each relationship is so very, very different. But with Bishop, even though there are things that we don't know about each other, he's still my rock. He's still the person that we've built this legacy with, and that's another reason why I think the show is so important, to see a couple like this having achieved as much as they've achieved, having a legacy that they're fighting to hold on to for their family, be it right, wrong, or, that they're doing it, and that the family business happens to be a church. They've built something, and they built it together.
Last question. YouTube paved the way for so many actors in the industry. So as far as the newcomers, what advice would you give people to have longevity in the industry?
You want to go first?
Ladies first. I think that one, first of all, needs to work on their craft, their instrument, being able to be facile in their work and creative in the work. Because it's not always loyal, and Hollywood is not always a meritocracy. It's not always based upon, she did well last time, so we're going to give her the world. No, it doesn't happen that way. But if you do quality work, there'll always be something. A play, a supporting role, a character role, once people know that you're dependable in the quality of your work, I still believe in that, and though it may not be, in contention for an Oscar or any of that, but once you've done good work, I think people will always your talent will make space for yourself to have something going on. That's big. Before we start with the resumes and a good agent, first know what you're doing.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. You have to have a foundation, and that foundation is honing your craft. If you have no craft to begin with, then it's a house of cards. And you're a leaf to every wind that blows. But when you hone your craft and you know that your craft is within you, then you're going to get blown, but you can be solid wherever you stand.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. We sit
You know.
there and he does, elocution exercise, and I said, I want that book. He said, I'm going to remember to bring that book. Or we talk about a play or something. We love what we do. And I think loving it, right, is so important. Something will always happen if you love it and you don't let the business make you hard.
Yes, and you have to love it for of itself. I mean, because if you're in it to become a star, if you're in it to make a lot of money, these are all the wrong reasons. And because that could happen, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time, it does not. So, I mean, if that's the only reason why you're in it, and too many people that I run across, everybody wants to be a star, but nobody wants to do the work that it takes to be a star. Stars are stars for reasons, for good reasons. And there's a big difference between being an actor and a movie star. Now, you can be both.
Yeah.
Both do exist,
Yes.
but they're not necessarily synonymous.
Yes.
So I'm here with Erica and Craig, the faces behind Greenleaf. So how did you two come up with Greenleaf?
Craig, go ahead. How did you come up with Greenleaf?
Is that the question? How did we come up with it originally? It started when I got to know Oprah through another project, and she started talking to me about her history in the black church, and I started talking about my history in the church, the white church or whatever. And we realized we had a lot of the same questions, and we just started talking about what a show might look like about the black church. And I was interested in helping her ask those questions that she had in a dramatic structure, and so we figured it out.
Where does the name Greenleaf come from?
Well,
You told it, but I can't remember it.
there's a verse in the Bible that talks about how the sinner is going to suffer, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. It's in Proverbs. That's how it came about.
So the casting, you guys did a great job. So how hard was it to cast?
I guess it was really hard. I didn't really have anything to do with it. It was mostly the casting directors and then Craig, who sort of had these characters in mind, and they got the people, and we've been blessed to have of course Lynn Whitfield and Keith David and Merle Dandridge. Yeah, so
Yeah, we just got very blessed, and it all worked out. I feel like a lot of folks wanted to be involved in the show because they felt that it was showing a side of the culture that hadn't been seen before, and shown in that kind of light that was simultaneously honest but also gracious.
So the storylines, the scandal, everything is so juicy. So how hard is it to come up with everything?
it's very hard to come up with it, but we sort of take a lot of things from the headlines, we take a lot of things from people's personal experiences, and we sort of just put them together as sort of an amalgamation of what this world is and who these people are, and we just come up with what is Greenleaf. It's sort of our version of the scandals that happen that you read about in the church.
Yeah, I'd say it's not hard to get those ideas. What's hard is to make the family's response to them believable. That's the hard part, is to really work out day by day, like, okay, well, if this was happening in your family, like, what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
That's hard.
So earlier you mentioned something about that you are the face behind 6 Feet Under. Yeah. 6 Feet Under. Okay, because I must say 6 Feet Under was my favorite series season finale. Like, the ending was phenomenal. So if you've done 6 Feet Under and Greenleaf, any up-and-coming projects?
Right now, no. I'm writing the sequel to Puss in Boots for DreamWorks Animation, but other than that, no. Greenleaf's my life.
So what's next for you?
Who knows? Greenleaf, I think, for now.
Where can our viewers find you on social media?
I'm on Twitter, but I'll mostly just talk about Donald Trump, so I'm not sure it's going to be. It's going to be very interesting. I'm at 1600 Trump Nugget. When he got elected, I decided I was going to do one tweet a day for 1,600 days until that man leaves my field of vision. And I'm working hard, trying to keep hope alive and keep on tweeting.
And last but not least, you mentioned the meaning behind your tag too. So can you let my viewers know
Say what?
the meaning behind your tag too?
Oh, well, It's a hexagram from the I Ching, but what it really means, it means controlled power, which means use your power wisely with an awareness of the wholeness of the universe. You don't just use your power like a crazy person. But what it really means for me is until the rule of law is restored in this country and well, let me start again. Can I start? Are we live? Okay, let me start again. It's a hexagram from the I Ching. It means controlled power, which means use your power wisely, use your power with an awareness of the whole world around you. But what it really means for me is until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no rest. Until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no silence. Until the rule of law and the standards of common decency are restored in this country, no peace. Watch for it.
Love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Erica.